Okay, hello everyone. How is everyone doing today? It is the 20th week of the mini paint challenge. Welcome. We have a really fun, hey, how's it going? I noticed you were in there earlier waiting. Nice to see you again. We have a mushroom that we're going to paint today. I've been going on a lot of hikes, and on my hikes, I really love finding mushrooms to take pictures of. We live on the West Coast, so we have a lot of different types of mushrooms. So we've got a little mushroom. If you're new here, here is the how to join the challenge. Make sure you tag me at Megan Josol Art and use the hashtag mini paint challenge, and then I'll be able to see your art and show your art a little bit of love. And also, I have to mention this at the start because I keep forgetting to mention this at the start, but you can actually go to my website. So the mini paint challenge link in my bio, you can go to the website and click reference photos, and then it will scroll down to the bottom and you can actually download the high resolution reference photos for all of the mini paint challenge paintings, and then at least you can like blow it up nice and big on your screen so it's a little bit easier to follow along if you want. So don't forget to do that. And I guess I will go straight into the paint mixing scene. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I switched my cameras around today too for you. So I took the one that we've been using on the main kind of painting scene and I switched it to here because the colors are a little bit off, but I wanted to try out the other one on the main painting scene today to see if we can get better color, and if we do, then I might just go and buy a second one of those because I want to make sure that the colors are looking good. So let me know if the colors are like off on the main painting screen today. We can always try a different camera, but at least we can swap them today and see how that goes. Okay, so we have a mushroom and a lot of green. Green is actually one of my favorite colors, so I'm really excited to play around with this one today. I don't actually paint a lot of like foliage and stuff, so I am interested to try out a few new techniques with you guys today and see if we can make it work anyway. So I think I'll start with mixing all of the, let's go with the green colors. And on my palette today, I have titanium white, and then what one is this? Warm white again. I'm gonna need more titanium white, so I'll just grab that out. Alizarin crimson. I have a little bit of excuse me, I also have a lot of allergies right now, or at least I think it's allergies because I was sick for 3 weeks and now I'm stuffy and my eyes are sore, so I'm assuming it's allergies. I'm going to put more titanium white here because we're going to need more of that. We might need more warm white too. We can add as we go. This one is an Indian yellow. I'm not sure if we're going to use that one today. It was just on my palette from last week. That's the nice thing about oil paints too, is you can store them in the freezer and they'll last for like multiple weeks at a time. So most of this paint is from last week that we put out. This one is cadmium lemon, and then we've got some sap green. That's going to be kind of like, those two colors are going to be the base for the green is what I was thinking. I think that'll be pretty good. And then we've got cerulean blue. We'll use that in some of the highlights. We've got ultramarine blue. And then what other one did we grab? I think we grabbed phthalo blue too last time. I think it was phthalo blue last time. Oh. Try not to cough too much. And then burnt sienna, I'm thinking I'll put on there again. Because I did have burnt sienna on there, but just didn't put it on. Maybe I'll take a sip of water before I start coughing everywhere. But yeah, I'm really excited to paint this little mushroom. I just love the shape of mushrooms and like all the little textures and stuff in it. I think it'll be really fun to play around with this design today. Maybe at some point my husband can come down and makes me some ginger lemon tea. That might help my throat. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge if you're watching, husband. Okay, we will start with the green. So, we're going to start with sap green. I'll start there. Trying not, there's a bit of other colors that partially mix with that, just a little bit of blue. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start out with sap green. Now, I have the reference photo up here, and all you're going to do with your sap green is you're going to hold it up and see kind of like where the sap green falls in to the painting. So we're definitely going to need some like darker areas, I would say, because the sap green isn't quite dark enough. Now, I don't like to use black for those darker areas. I actually like to use purple. So we're going to mix up kind of like a purple to go there. But the sap green will be really nice for some of those dark areas, specifically in some of the foliage around this area. There's a lot of that like darker green, but it's not quite as dark as like those kind of almost black areas. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this because we definitely will use some of this. And I'm gonna leave room to make a darker color as well. Ugh. Excuse me. Just coughing. Okay. Since we already have sap green on here, we're gonna slowly like make the lighter colors, and then we'll go back to making that darker color after. Or maybe I should just, yeah, I'll make the lighter colors first. So we're gonna add a little bit of cadmium lemon. And we're gonna see where that brings sap green. Should brighten it up pretty nicely. Sap green is also like a mix of colors. I should mention that. It's one of my kind of like cheat colors in a way because it's like pre-mixed, which is really nice. It's a mix of Indian yellow and phthalo blue, and then a few other pigments I don't actually know the codes for. But it's a more like transparent pigment. I like it. Probably because it has the Indian yellow in it. It's a very transparent pigment, which is really nice for mixing. So I find it's quite a nice color. Well, I guess I don't want, let me see if this is pretty good before I add more. That's actually pretty good. I like that. I'll grab a little bit more sap green. I'll grab this yellow. Try to make a lighter one as well. Go a little bit lighter than that. And yellow will just kind of lighten it because the value of yellow is very light. So instead of adding white to it, we're just adding yellow because that'll bring the value down quite a bit. Might bring the saturation up in certain areas though, so there's a chance we might have to desaturate the colors a little bit if we find that it's too bright. But I will show you how to do that if we need to. So yeah, we're definitely going to want to desaturate that color a little bit. So I'm actually going to add, so when you desaturate colors, you want to add kind of like the opposite on the color wheel. So we're going to add kind of like a purpley red, I guess. So just a little bit of red should desaturate that into the color that we want. We want these colors to be pretty earthy. Check that out, because we might want to add a little bit of blue. That's what I was thinking, because we're going more on the purple end. So I'm adding just a little bit of blue. Excuse me. Maybe my husband can grab me a lozenger. I should have planned for a lozenger up there. Okay, that's a pretty nice color. I like that. Actually, quite a bit. That's quite a nice color. I think that'll be nice for the background. So we've got a more saturated green. They're kind of like similar, but this one is a little bit more desaturated, which is nice. And we're going to need a bit of both because in the highlight area, it's more saturated. It tends to be more saturated when the sun's hitting a color. So we will figure out also where the sun is coming from. That's another part of painting, is trying to figure out kind of like where the sun is hitting everything. And you can kind of tell it's hitting it from like the top angle kind of down. So here's my arrow. It's kind of coming from over here, coming across this way, because you can tell this is like the darker areas here. I think it's like here-ish. Yeah, I think that's probably where it's coming in, is like here. I can't remember from taking the photo. It's like more like this angle, I think. Because there's kind of a cast shadow here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to keep mixing up these greens. So we're going to go with a lighter green now. We're going to try to add some of those, like, you can see on the tips of some of these ones, there is quite a bit of bright highlight. So we're going to actually start with the lemon yellow. Add a little bit of the sap green. I'm going to check that color because I think it should be pretty close. That one will be good. We're also going to want to make a brighter one as well. And we're probably going to want to lighten this with a little bit of white. So I'm going to use actually a little bit of, I'm going to use the, I'm going to go get a lozenger. I'll be right back. Ugh. Can you get me a lozenger, hun? I'm struggling. Just one of my lozengers. The ones I normally have. Ugh. I'm struggling, guys. Probably should mute my mic so you guys don't have to hear me struggling over here. 1 second. I'll be fine. Everything's fine. Let me mute my mic so it's not too bad. Okay, I'm back, guys. I'm having like a sneezing attack over here. It's definitely allergies. I don't think I'm sick anymore, guys. I think I'm just like, oh, I should probably close the window. That could be why I opened it for the cats. I have like such a hard time in the summertime with allergies. I don't know if any of you guys get allergies too. But man, my allergies is so bad right now. Ugh. Okay, we're gonna survive, guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna cough again. One sec. Okay, got a lozenger. Hopefully that helps. Okay, we're adding titanium white to this area. I'm just gonna check on that color. I feel like it needs to be brighter. Just adding a bit more titanium white to that. That's for like the super bright highlights. Note to self, take an allergy pill next time, eh? I try not to take medication if I don't like really need it, but these allergies. It's hard because I feel like Benadryl is like the only thing that works, but it makes you sleepy. Didn't want to be sleepy today. I'm like trying to paint. Okay, that'll be like a nice, really light color. And then there's also like even lighter ones that are more like blue. So we're gonna take some titanium white. I'm gonna mix up just what's on the palette here. Whatever we didn't scrape off into the titanium white, you'll turn it a little green. We're gonna add a bit of cerulean blue. Just like a very little amount. Okay, let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, just add a bit of this color. Palette. I'm just gonna rub this. Get this a little bit cleaner before we start on our next color. So we're gonna make like a purplish kind of color for that darker area. Take my mouse. So we're gonna work in this like darker area now, kind of where the mushroom stem is. I'm gonna try to mix those up. I'm fine, everything's fine. That was just some ultramarine blue. We're gonna add a bit of alizarin crimson to it. That'll make it nice and dark. And I'm going more on the bluish end of purple. Try not to add too much alizarin crimson to that. That's going to be our darker areas. So that is our palette for the background. Now we're going to mix up the mushroom colors. I'm just going to clean this off so it's nice and clean. Though I guess we are going to need a little bit of purple anyway, because you can see in the mushroom head right here, there's a bit of this like purpley patch, but we probably can kind of dab a little bit of that on it because I think it'll be close enough to what we're looking for. And then gonna go here. Let's see what else we've got. I've got kind of that. I'm wondering if we can use burnt sienna for it. I don't know if it's gonna be. Let's try. I say I don't know. I'm really not sure if that's like the best color to be using, but we'll try it out. Why not? Use some warm white in that. Put a bit of that to the side. See, I feel like it's like a little too red. But we might be able to adjust it a bit. Let's see. I think if we add a bit of like yellow and green to this, we should be able to actually get this to the color we want. I'm going to take some lemon yellow here. So it's more on, see that's pretty orange. And that's when we're going to add a bit of the, oh, that's sap green though. I might add a little bit of blue. And that should give us kind of that greenish color. See. Yeah, that's pretty accurate now. I'm just trying to see where that sits. So I'm holding it up. Kind of got like a mid-tone going on right now. So we've got like quite a few darker tones to go above it. And then we need a few lighter tones. So we've kind of mixed up a good mid-tone. Might take a bit of that off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that to the side. And at least we've got kind of that main tone. We're going to try to make a darker tone. So what I'm going to do is take ultramarine blue and I'm going to take a little bit more of this one, the burnt sienna. Mix that together. See if we can get a nice dark tone going. just with the burnt sienna and blue. Because that's kind of the color we're going for. We wanted a bit more red, a bit more burnt sienna. Because some of the darker areas kind of have that reddish tinge to them. Okay, not that red. And I think we're going to have to warm it up a little bit with a bit of yellow. That's actually pretty good for some of these dark areas, especially around. So I'm mixing use my little arrow. I'm mixing some of the little darker tones on the edges of the mushroom. So it's matching pretty good with that right now. Excuse me. So I would say get a pretty nice dark tone. We're going to need an even darker tone. We're going to want it more purpley. So I'm actually going to take ultramarine blue, a little bit of alizarin crimson, kind of trying to make that purpley tone for the top. This is kind of like, I'll do a mix of that too. And keep that to the side. Ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. There we go. Just adding a little bit of titanium white to it as well, so we can see the purple coming out a bit more. As you can see, there's kind of a reflection on the top of the mushroom, so we are going to have to add some reflective areas on the mushroom. It's kind of like those last details, little highlights and reflections. Okay, that purple is looking closer, so let me like line it up. Yeah, that's a pretty good purple, and then we'll use that for the mushroom. So we've got like some nice darker tones. Now we got to make some lighter tones as well. Now we saved this color here. I'm just gonna clean the purple off a bit. So we saved this color here, which is like our nice mid-tone color, and we're gonna go on the lighter end here. I'm gonna actually start by adding some warm white to it. Might need to get some more warm white out. See how light that goes. Okay, let's see. It's not quite as light as I want it. I definitely want it lighter than that, so I'm gonna grab some more warm white. Warm white's one of the newer ones to my palette actually, and I'm really enjoying using it. So if you don't have warm white on your palette, you should try it out. Ever since I got it, I've been just kind of using it for most paintings, and I find it really helpful to have kind of a more cool white and then a warmer white. I'm gonna keep that one. I'm also gonna make a slightly lighter one as well. Some more warm white. Okay, let's see. I feel like there's a bit of like a bluish tint to that. Kind of almost like a light gray. See if that's closer. Yeah, that's actually a lot closer to what we want. It's for like the little stripes on the mushroom. It's got kind of like a grayish tint. And then we've got, okay, the stem and then the little like white bits on the actual top of the mushroom. That's what we're gonna work on next. Now they're more on the cool side on the top, and then we've got kind of some warmer ones down below, more into like the yellows. I'm gonna start out with warm white. Let me just compare it. So yeah, it's more on the cool side, I would say. So I'm gonna start out with titanium then. Yeah, that's more accurate. And I'm gonna add a little bit of ultramarine blue to it. I'm doing the stem right now. Let me see how that helped. That helped a bit. It's still kind of like on the yellowish side. There's kind of some that are on the yellow side, and then there's some kind of on like the bluish side, I would say. So I'm gonna go and add a little bit of cadmium lemon, because I don't have any more in my palette. Okay. Mix that in good. We might have to add more blue to it just to desaturate it a little bit. It'll go more on the green end with the yellow and blue, I think is more accurate. Let me see. Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate there. And then I'm gonna mix one more color as well. It's gonna be more on like the grayish blue, and I think this will be pretty good with it, but I think we also need, the one on top is almost like a purpley, it's like a purpley blue almost, I would say. Sometimes you just have to stare at the colors for a little bit to see like where on the spectrum they are. I think it's more of like a purpley blue. So I'm going to start out with titanium white. I'm going to add a bit of alizarin crimson and a little bit of ultramarine blue. Probably have to lighten this a little bit, but I wanted to get that purple color first. Got a lot of colorful highlights in this one, which is kind of fun to play with. So that's like actually pretty close to what I want. I'm gonna add a little bit more ultramarine blue to that. And then I'm gonna also add a bit more titanium white because I definitely want it lighter. Honestly, I'm liking that though. It's a little bit different, but that's okay. I kind of want more of that saturated color. Just gonna clean this off. I'm gonna step back to see if we need to mix any other colors, but I think we're like pretty good. I think we could start playing around. I like how these are kind of like staggered. I thought I was gonna mix another color here and here, but got some staggered paint, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna transition to the next scene. And there is my painting. I am gonna at least the lozenger is like keeping me from coughing too much. How is that looking, guys? I think that's pretty good. I gotta move my camera too, so then you guys can see me over here. Let me go behind. And you'll see this side of my house. You'll see the cat tree in the background. Okay. Okay, I think we're good with that. I've got to decide on what brush I'm going to use first and where we want to start. Should we do the mushroom first or should we do the green part first? I feel like let's get the mushroom done and then we'll do the background. Just because I know the background is gonna give me some trouble, so start out with the mushroom first. Okay, I'm gonna take my number 0 brush. It's a flat brush. We'll use that one first. Okay, I'm gonna start my time lapse. Making sure that it can be seen okay. Got that. And then first, before we start, we're also going to erase the sketch a little bit. So I just did a basic sketch. Nothing crazy. Just like a basic outline. If you're new to sketching too, you can take the reference photo and just like put your piece of paper over it and just like draw a little outline too. That will help. But As you can see, my sketch is just a scribble. The details are going to go on with the paint, so I always do like the crappiest little sketch underneath because I'm going to cover it with paint anyway, so it just feels like pointless to do like, you know, a giant sketch with it. I know some people like to do fancy sketches or like underpaintings, but I would rather just do it with the paint. Get it on there. Okay, so all I'm doing is taking my kneaded eraser and I'm just dabbing that off. Let me know if I need to fix the focus on here as I'm painting, because this camera's new and I mean, it's not like we can tell the focus yet, but I think pretty good. One thing I was doing earlier was taking an already done painting and like putting it here to like try to fix the focus to make sure it was okay. So I'm hoping that played out okay. And we'll adjust the colors as we go too to see if we need to adjust the exposure or the saturation or anything in the camera. So like I said, I'm going to start out with this guy. It's a Seneca flat brush. I really like to use the Seneca flat brushes. Number 0. And we're just going to start out with that. And I think we'll do the mushroom top first. So, oh my gosh. We are going to start out with kind of that purpley bit on the top. And grab a little bit of that purple. We're going to start out with that. And we're just doing a rough kind of brush stroke on that, just to put it where you see in the image, and we can kind of adjust things later on. We're going to mix it with other colors too, just adding like a base layer. It always looks rough before it looks better. It's like a trust the process, right? That's what I always try to tell myself anyway. I'm going to put these darker areas in next, kind of along the edges. So we've got quite a bit of dark areas along here. Adjust those. I'm going to add a little bit into this purple area here. I'm going to slowly work on kind of getting, like, so there's little lines on it. just working out where the lines are going to be placed. So you know, it's kind of like sketching with your brush. I'm just adding little lines. Go. Hey, how's it going? We are, I feel like I'm trying to survive my allergies today. How's your day going? Over here, just getting these base colors on. So we're gonna work up into this with that kind of mid-tone color that we mixed. It's gonna go in a bunch of different places on the mushroom. Gonna grab a little bit more of that mid-tone. Notice I didn't clean my brush in between too. I'm just trying to get a bit of those colors mixed a little bit as I go. I have like a swimming lesson tonight too, so I'm like, maybe I should take some allergy meds before the swim lesson. Okay, we're getting there. Just trying to make sure we leave room for those white areas. Just adding in these base colors, and then we're going to go back in with more detail kind of after. Together though, and that's what we're looking for, is just kind of getting everything placed where we think it should be. Trying to leave those white areas free. Allergies are wicked this spring. Yeah, it's thank you. They've been a little bit rough. Like I had the window open this morning and that was a bad idea because I was like, oh, the cats want to like enjoy the window open and it's such a nice day out today. But my allergies are like, no, please close that. We've got just like a lot of pollen right now. All of the cherry blossoms on Vancouver Island are just, are just like going crazy over here. And they're falling off the trees, which means allergies. I'll be okay though. I thought I was getting sick again this morning, but I feel like it's just allergies because as soon as I opened the window, then it got worse. And I'm like, I think we left the one window open last night, so that could be why I woke up with the allergies this morning. As you can see, I'm kind of like adding the colors very lightly on here. Don't want to add them too thickly. Just doing like a thin layer. Almost letting it out a little bit. Okay. Pretty good. Yeah, do you get allergies too? Oh, I forgot to take my linseed oil out. Normally I use that to clean between colors if I need it. So just a little linseed oil in a jar. I bought these like extra little jars, so I don't have like a giant container of it on the side. It's nice because you can close them up too. Just cleaning off that a little bit so I can get into this like darker color again. I'm gonna slowly kind of brush some of these colors down. We're going to slowly create a little bit of texture, and then we're going to blend it out so it's not so like harsh. Just trying to establish the direction that that texture is going. Okay. I'm gonna grab this mid-tone color again. I'm gonna go into some of those lighter colors soon. Lighter or the darker color, kind of on the edge here. I want to establish those kind of lighter colors soon, so then we can work around it a little bit. I'm allergic to everything, Georgia, so oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, that's, it's hard. Mine aren't too bad, like in the winter, but then again, like, we're on Vancouver Island, so we don't actually get like a ton of snow. When I first moved to Victoria, we actually got like no snow. It's very rare to get snow. And I feel the last couple of years we've gotten more snow. The climate's changing here a little bit. We had like maybe like a week or two of snow this year, and the city doesn't know how to handle it. Everyone's like workplaces shut down here, and it's chaos because no one knows how to drive in the snow here. So you just don't leave your house when it snows here. I guess, does it like snow at all in Georgia? I don't know what your climate is like there. It's more southern, right? Kind of like, it's more like eastern part of the US, right? South, eastern. We like drove through Georgia on the way to Florida the one time. I think it was Georgia. Okay, I'm gonna grab a different brush. I'm gonna grab my angle shader brush, and I'm just gonna like use that for the white parts of the top of the mushroom. So we've got this kind of like grayish blue color that we mixed. So we're gonna start out with that, work into some of these other colors that we mixed as well. And it's gonna look kind of off for a little bit, just because the paper is like so white. That's why a lot of people like to do underpaintings. I don't, because I don't like painting on acrylic. I know you can do underpaintings with oils, but that would take like planning because I'd have to wait for it to dry. And I kind of just like get ideas and want to paint, so don't have to listen to all the rules. That's what I always tell myself about art. It's like, at some point you can just kind of start making up your rules. Yeah, we really get snow here. New Jersey, so you snow and ice. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's nice to live in a warmer climate. I feel like this is the warmest you can get in Canada, though. I moved to the best I could find here in Canada. Vancouver Island, I think, has the best weather. Everywhere else in Canada is just snowy. I feel like that's nice in the US. You guys have more options for different places to live. Though I don't know how easy it is to move from state to state. Like, in Canada, it's pretty easy to like move from provinces. We all have kind of like our own little rules in each province, but it's pretty much the same across the board, I would say, for most things. I'm going to start adding a little bit of that darker color in between some of these white sections. Yeah, I moved from a colder place as well. I moved from Ontario, which is kind of like the eastern part of Canada there. And yeah, it was a lot chillier. Our winters there were quite a bit colder than here. So I'm glad that I moved. It was kind of, I moved on a whim when I was a teenager here. I was 18 when I moved here. I just like bought a one-way ticket, loaded up my luggages, and jumped on a plane. Back then there was Skype, and I Skyped my roommates. I found a place to rent through Skype. So that was an experience. I would do it all over again though. I am so glad that I moved here. Quite happy with my decision still. I'm gonna start adding some of this like purplish color. Just to add a little variety to these white areas. Okay, I got more of this color there. I'm gonna slowly add it into there. a lot of like little texture I think I want to add in the mushroom if we have time, kind of along the edges. I'll add like the base kind of, if you up the leaf like that, good for you. Yeah, it was kind of like a spontaneous thing. I really struggled with where I grew up. I feel like there was a lot of like trauma and stuff from that period of my life, and I think I just like I decided at that point that I just wanted to kind of move away from it, because sometimes it's hard to live around it when a lot of those kind of like people are still there. And I felt like I had a few good friends that I actually still talk to from there, but yeah, I'm really glad I made that decision. It's a hard decision, especially as a young adult, but tried to do what was best for me and not really think about anyone else at that point, and I'm glad I did that for me, because I'm really happy out here. I really love it out here. It also means I had to like build my life from scratch out here, but that's okay. I feel like now I've got like, an established friend group and a good community around me, which is nice. Sad one of our friends is actually moving away from here. So sad to see them go. I'm doing like a going away thing on the weekend. It's hard. It's hard to leave once you slowly start to build up a community. I think they'll come back at some point. They're going to keep their house here. Maybe move back. It's like a temporary thing. Slowly coming together. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go back into this grayish color. There we go. And then got that really dark little piece of dirt on the top here. I'm gonna actually add that in because we like a little bit of try to add that dark spot in. Slowly start lightening some of these areas too. Gotta go, but I'll catch the rest later. Yeah, thanks for chatting, hanging out. I love when people pop in when I'm actually live streaming. I know a lot of people watch after the fact, but it's nice when people can pop in and say hi. So thanks for tuning in, hanging out with me. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Okay, we've got to I'm gonna add the stem part. We're gonna go back and like adjust the texture obviously on the mushroom. But we will so just adding all the different kinds of whites here. Like some of the purple one down there. Some of this darker color I'm going to slowly add into this section here. Okay, we've got that part kind of mixed up. I'm gonna add more texture, probably after we get the background in too. I don't want to work on the mushroom and the details until we get the background in. Sometimes it's nice to just get like that background color in and get everything. So I'm gonna do kind of like, I'm gonna take the colors, I think go in certain areas. I'm gonna just kind of fill in the background and then we'll go in and like add some more details and stuff. I'm gonna start out with this kind of like mid darker tone. I'm taking a number 2 brush as well, so I'm taking a bigger brush just to try to spread this around a little bit. Grab some of this lighter color. Kind of making like a blurry background and then we'll add some color to the blurs. This will make the mushroom pop more, just getting the green background in. Like I said, we'll go in with detail. Play around there. It's a little bit darker over here. Still gonna expand the mushroom a bit, so I don't want to go too close to the mushroom. I find it's kind of like, this is like a nice part where you can just like enjoy adding kind of like those base kind of colors, and then we can go into the detail after. Something like relaxing about just kind of like adding the colors like this. So I'm just alternating in certain areas. This part I'm going to add a little bit more darker colors. Grab some of this darker color here. We're really getting the texture in there. How's the colors look on the camera for you guys? Just double checking. Doesn't look too bad. You guys can see it okay. We've got more of the texture coming along there. I'm gonna add some darker areas in here. This whole section over here is pretty dark, so I feel like I'm gonna need to mix up more of that green color. It's okay. It was pretty easy to mix up. It's like pretty much just a bit of sap green and lemon yellow. I just forgot how much green was in the background of this, so could have mixed a little bit more of some of the colors. Okay, now I'm going to grab some of the darker color, so I'm going to grab this really dark sap green. Slowly add this darker color. And also add a bit of this purple in too, especially like around this area here. Purple will help create a lot of depth in there. And if you're feeling like you don't want to add texture to the background, this is actually pretty common. It's like a blurry background, so we're kind of like doing a blurry background and then we're gonna add color to it. Drop in my brush. So you could just stop with kind of like the more blurry effect in the background, which I think looks pretty nice, honestly. I like doing the blurry backgrounds, or like if you add a few little circles and do like kind of the bouquet thing or whatever. Bouquet. That photography effect would look really nice. I did that with my one mushroom painting. Just kind of made it up in the background. Got a bit more of that purple. Slowly start to work that in, mix it in with some of the green. And then mix it in here. These darker purples into this green area too. We might keep some of the background kind of blurry, but I am going to add some detail, I think, in the front, because I think it would just be nice to add more of the texture, those plants. Add a bit more of that purple color into this area here. Just gonna step in back. Okay. Just kind of taking off some of the paint. I have another cloth over here. So we don't want the paint to be too thick. I'm gonna be careful that the paint doesn't get too thick. Pretty good. Got most of those background colors on. Just kind of shaping the mushroom a bit. Okay. So now that we've kind of got like this base layer established, we can start kind of like playing with more of the shapes and the shadows, and like we're gonna want to add like some more shadows in here. So I'm actually going to grab a little bit of that purple color with my one brush I was using for the mushroom. I'm actually gonna add some shadows, and I want the shadows to be more purpley just because, I don't know, I think it'd be fun. Shadow on this side, a bit more purple. I think it's just fun to add more color like this in rather than keeping it exactly how the image is. Like obviously the shadows in there aren't purple, but like look how cool that looks. So I'm just adding a shadow a little bit underneath. That part's not going to be as bright. I'm going to grab my other one so I still have the lighter kind of gray color on it, and just going to establish those more gray areas. Got this green one. Just kind of taking, I've got like 3 brushes in my hand right now. I'm slowly just gonna grab my grayish color. Just establishing where that shadow is, that little branch that's kind of coming off. And we're going to add a little bit of purple into here. I'll start to see it take shape a little bit. Once you add those shadows in, it really does help kind of establish more of a shape to the object. And then there's kind of like vertical lines going down a little bit. So I'm actually going to add some of those in. And then I'm taking my white, kind of lightening those lines a little bit. Okay. Just gonna make this shadow a little bit more pronounced here. Go in with my white. Say white, but it's more of a gray. Trying to also make sure I record everything, so if you see me like clicking around with my cameras, I try to film like a time lapse with all of mine, so if you go on my channel you can see the time lapses from a lot of my past paintings. I actually tried to make the effort to edit a bunch of my time lapses the other day because I have a lot of backlog. I realized I have 34 time lapses that are all color graded and just like ready to like put on my channel. I just have to like edit in some, because I like to have some b-roll footage that I add to them. So the main time lapse is color graded, but I gotta add the b-roll to them and some music, just because I feel like the time lapses are nicer when you have a little bit of the music and stuff. So just adding a bit more shadow there. I'm going to start adding some detail, I think, into grassy areas here. Just adding a bit of more darkness. Kind of like the mossy background, though. It's kind of fun to play with that. I'm going to try, which brush do I want to use? Maybe my number 10/0 liner brush. This is a Princeton Velvet Touch brush. I use that. I'm going to start out with the sap green, just for the stem part. And then I'll use the lighter. I have an even thinner one. I have a 20/0 as well. That's even thinner. Let's try adding like a bushy thing right here, kind of where the shadow is. Like I said, I'm just gonna do a few kind of near the front. Honestly, might not do too many into the back because there's so many of them. They're called like feather moss, I think. They're like, there's a lot of them around here. They're all over the trails here. And they kind of go like every which way. So I'm just adding like the stem parts to the moss, and then we're gonna add like the lighter colors. One part on my keyboard kind of covering that up. I want to see what the mossy section. I'm not trying to match it exactly. I'm just kind of trying to get the vibe of it. Because that would be absolutely ridiculous to try to match it exactly. Just almost creating like little like strands of grass. And we're going to cover these up with the lighter color, and that's going to give us more texture. kind of trying to keep some of that blur in the back, so I'm not gonna bring these back too far. Okay, let's grab the next color. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of this green here, this mid-tone green. Gotta mix more of this like lighter green. There's a bit of sap green, lemon yellow. Just need a bit more of that because we use so much, and I feel like that's gonna be like super useful. So I'm just mixing off to the side. I know you guys can't see this right now, but we're just mixing more of that lighter kind of bright green. You can always mix more of it if you need to. Okay. So now, just trying to see where the texture comes out in these. Try to establish, because every plant is a little bit different with the way that the texture kind of sits on them. Just kind of gonna bring the lighter color in after, but you don't want to bring the lighter color in yet. We're gonna cover the stems a little bit with this one so they're not peeking out too much. Ah, bless me. One sec. Okay, I sneezing a lot over there. Working on it. Don't really have any brushes. I don't think that would make this easier. I feel like you could, like if it was a bigger one, you could probably use like a fan brush or something. I wish they made fan brushes, like mini. That's like one brush, but I'm like, man, they need more mini brushes. I feel like there's not a lot of companies making like super, super tiny brushes, or maybe I just haven't found super tiny oil painting brushes yet, but maybe someday I'll have to design my own brushes so I get my own set of mini brushes. Or maybe another company will work with me on it. I will help you design mini brushes. So we're just adding more texture. Okay, a bit more texture around this area too. That texture is slowly coming together kind of around here. And then the next color, we'll use that brighter color, kind of the highlight parts. Okay, that's honestly looking pretty good. Okay, now we're gonna go in. I'm gonna actually grab my smaller one, my 20/0. We're gonna slowly start adding this green in. Okay, so we'll start out with this area first. We'll make some like really established ones right near the actual mushroom. Still gotta go and add some more detail in that main part of the mushroom too. That's what I like to do though. I like to kind of jump around the painting a little bit. Keeps my mind interested. Now we've even got a slightly lighter color as well to kind of play around with. But we're really getting that texture in there, which is nice. Okay, there we go. You guys see that coming together slowly? I'm trying to add it mostly in these brighter areas. I'm trying not to add too much like these areas here in the darker areas. Kind of establish the values in these areas. I actually kind of like how this is going. It's been a while since I've painted like anything like grassy textured like this. I like doing plein air in the summertime though, so plein air is just outside. I did some cute little plein air ones when I was camping last year. I think we're gonna try to get some more camping trips in this year, so that'll be nice. Okay. Lots of like little details in here. Like I said, you probably could do it quicker if it was like bigger, but this is a mini paint challenge. That's like the challenge with mini paintings, is not always having the right tools and trying to be selective of like what details you want to add to things. So with mini paintings, you definitely have to be more selective with the details that you add, because you can only really add so much. But I do think it adds quite a bit if you just take the time to do these by hand, because I feel like some of the other tools won't be as and as you're adding them, just like don't make them perfect either. Don't make them like line up or anything. Just like it's gonna look more realistic if it looks just kind of like scattered everywhere. Slowly getting that. More of this lighter color again. Just keep looking at the reference photo to like get kind of like different shapes. I'm not really trying to match it exactly like I said, but if you keep looking at how the moss kind of flares out at the end, and all of the little strands are kind of going a certain way as well. So I'm just looking for that while I'm looking in the reference image, just to get a general idea so it actually looks like, you know, the species that you're trying to recreate. Very interesting, like unique patterns in nature too. That's what I really like about painting, like nature type stuff. There we go. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to bring it into the back too much. I'm actually going to keep a lot of that kind of like texture in the back. I'm going to grab my mop brush. I'm just going to like kind of dab it in the back to create like a softer kind of blur effect. Because I don't think I actually want to paint all of these into the background. I think it'll take away from these front ones that I've got going. These are really helpful, these mini mop brushes. I feel like they just, they're so nice. Just adding a bit of sap green in there. A little bit of this darker one as well. Don't want it too saturated, so. Just gonna clean off the brush a bit, and I'm just kind of that was not descriptive. Just making shapes in the air. I'm just dabbing it off until a lot of the paint comes off the mop brush. I'm just establishing kind of like, yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my little green brush that I was using. I'm establishing a few more of these. Now I'm going to clean this off a bit, and we're going to go into that lighter color that we made. Go into this kind of like yellowy green that we made, and that's going to help us get more highlights into those green bushy areas. So we're going to be really sparse with this. Kind of like on the tips of everything. That'll make it really fluffy. Kind of keep dipping it in just to bring my brush to a bit of a point too. Definitely getting like feathery now, which is the name of the moss, feathery moss. Oh my goodness. It's like the post-nasal drip is going down my throat and making it itchy. I'll definitely have to make a tea after this. Oh, allergies. I refuse to believe that I'm like sick again, because we just got sick. Like I was just sick last week, so I think it's just allergies. It feels different because like I still have some energy. I mean, I'm still tired, I guess, from being sick though, so. I was like, no, I really wanted to paint today. Because I kind of missed a little bit of painting there because I got so sick that one week. Missed a week. I actually missed 2 weeks because I got that eye infection and I was sick. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna miss live painting today. There we go. That bushiness is looking pretty good, right? Or I guess featheriness. Just have to keep dipping it in to get that point. It's kind of like repeating the same process over again until this is all kind of done. Excited to add some more detail into those mushrooms, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna finish this section first before we add the detail, even though I'm like really excited to add detail into those mushrooms. Or into the mushroom. Grab more of that darker color. Brought this up into this section a little bit too much. I didn't want to bring it up that high. It's the nice thing, we can come back in and touch it up if we need to in certain sections if we didn't like how it looked. We're going to go back in at another point anyway and kind of darken up some of the areas, add a little bit of highlights. Oops. Want the lighter color. There we go. I'm using a very gentle brush stroke too, so if you're kind of like struggling to get this texture, try using like a looser, or not like pressing too hard or anything, because we're wanting the paint to kind of slide off of this. That's why we keep dipping it in too, because as soon as the paint kind of runs out into the other colors, then we're dipping it back in, adding more to the brush. Okay. Make sure you guys tag me in this too. I really want to see your guys' versions. I always love when people tag me on like Instagram and Facebook. Or if you make a full YouTube video, make sure you tag me. I want to see your versions of it. It's like my favorite part is like seeing my reference images being like used and enjoyed by other people. I really love that. Looking pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna grab my 10/01. I'm gonna go into some of the darker colors now. So I'm gonna go into this purple color. I'm gonna deepen some of these areas in between. Because I'm just kind of darkening these because I feel like the value is a little off in some areas. It's not too hard to just add like a little bit of that darkness back in where we want it. And as you can see, as I add that darker tone, it definitely brightens everything else up a little bit. Yeah, and that's kind of like where the shadow is falling, kind of in these areas underneath here, and then like also in here, kind of those deeper colors. There we go, those deeper colors. Just adding a bit more texture into the mushroom by adding some of that purple into the shadow. Dip back into that purple to get a nice line there. Add that darker value in there. That's coming along. I feel like part of me wants to add more texture into the background, but I also don't want to make the tutorial too long because we've only got like an hour. Let's try to get this kind of done on the mushroom now. So it's just like a piece of dirt. There's a bunch of like little dirty pieces on the top. Let's try to get some of that texture on the top dealt with. So we've got kind of this lighter mushroom color that we mixed up. We're gonna start adding more lines with that lighter color. Add some like shadows into these white sections because it'll make it pop a little bit if we add some shadows around them. Gonna add those highlights as well because the highlights will really bring a lot of dimension to the mushroom as well. You don't have to do too much. Depends on how detailed you want it. So I'm kind of going over the purple with a little bit of this lighter color. It's almost kind of like a glowiness on the top. And go into this kind of whitish green color. That's gonna be kind of our highlight, I guess. Yeah. Have to add a bit more of a shadow there, but that's okay. Starting out with just watch how like I guess my brush is kind of moving around here and very lightly kind of blending it. You don't want to blend it in too much because you want some of that color from the bottom to show through this highlight. Okay, and I think around the white, if we just add some shadows around those like little white areas, it'll look a lot better. So I'm going to take my 20/0. I'm going to clean off the green that we were using. going to use that to add shadows because very small lines in between the white dots on the mushroom. There's a lot of green on that brush, so I'm just making sure all the green is kind of like cleaned off. How's the mushroom looking from your end? How are like the colors and stuff looking? I know I did slightly different colors, but from my end, I feel like this new camera that I'm using for the main paint scene is actually looking a little bit better than our old camera that we were using. I think it's in focus enough. I like didn't want it to like be auto focusing the whole time, so I'm like was trying to mess around with the manual focus there, so I didn't keep like trying to like focus my hand while it was in front. I actually really like the mossy texture. I think that actually worked out pretty well, honestly. Okay, so I've got this little guy. We're going to go around some of these areas and add this darker mushroom color that we have. We're gonna add it in some of these areas. And then if we feel like we need it a little bit darker, we can always go in with like maybe a little bit of the purple. I think this will be dark enough. We're going to add some dark lines too. Not super dark. I don't want to have too many dark lines. Can't really get in focus. Supposed to be adding dark lines around the white. I'm starting to add lines. This may not seem like it's doing much, but trust the process. I feel like you have to say that to yourself a lot through painting. It's like, okay, it doesn't look very good right now, but you gotta trust the process. There was definitely times when I first started though that I did not trust the process, and I had a really hard time. Then I learned as I did this more that there's always going to be kind of like a messy middle stage, and I've heard that term used before by other artists, where things are going to look really off for a while until you get those final details in, but you need those middle steps in order to even get to something that like looks good at the end. You need those messy middle stages. I love mushrooms. I kind of want to do like a little mushroom series. Love, love, love mushrooms. We just have so many here in Canada, especially like on the West Coast. I feel like we're really lucky to like live here. There's like a lot of edible mushrooms too. We have some oyster mushrooms that we pick on the trail sometimes, and you can find those cool like lobster mushrooms or those lion's mane mushrooms here. There's like so many mushroom varieties. I feel like it would just be so cool to do like West Coast mushrooms and do some sort of like series. I'm a really big fan of like abstract art and like realism together. So it'd be cool to kind of like combine those two, like create some sort of really neat like painting series with them. But that's for a future date. Go, adding all of those lines, specifically around the white areas too. Adding those darker kind of shadows around the white area will help make those pop a little bit. Didn't actually look up which type of mushroom this is. I have a lot of them around here. These ones are found on the trail near Souk, East Souk Park, regional park there. I have a reel of us hiking there the other day, so if you go back into my reels, there's a little hiking video and some other mushroom photos that I took. One of my things I want to get like better at is actually doing like overnight hikes and stuff. That's something I've always wanted to do, so I think I might try to do a little bit more of that this year. My husband has done more like overnight hikes. He did one a few years ago when he was in the military. They got funding to do some kind of like hiking trips as a group, which is kind of cool. So they learned a bunch of skills, and they all went and did one of the trails here. They did a bunch of like day hikes around the area before they did like the bigger hike. It's just like cool that they were able to get like funding to do like a hike like that, just for like the training aspect of it. I love that. I would love to do that. They even had to take like a boat into like the one area. I forget what that trail is called. I think it took them 5 or 6 days for that hike. The other popular one around here is the West Coast Trail. That one's like really famous. You have to book like a year in advance for that. And you don't want to do that one unprepared. It's a lot of hiking along the coast. It's like a coastal trail. That's the one we hiked the other day. We hiked the one that's closer to us. We didn't hike the West Coast Trail. We hiked the one closer to us, but it's a coastal trail is what I'm getting at. And I love the coastal trails around here. I feel like that would be really cool to do one day. When I first moved here, my roommates that I was living with at the time actually did the West Coast Trail, which I think is just so cool. I would have loved to do something like that, but I definitely was not prepared for a hiking trip like that when I first moved here at 18. At that age, I was just trying to get a footing of what I was going to do in this world. I feel like I have more of a direction now than when I first moved here. It takes a while to kind of like establish yourself as an adult. But yeah, I'd really like to go hiking and like take more pictures of like these cool mushrooms. I'm gonna add a little bit more shine to this area because I feel like we're missing a bit of shine. Just gonna clean this off a bit. I'm gonna take this color here, kind of like the bluey-ish color. Okay. There we go. Slowly getting there. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of purple into these areas. Feel like I need a bit more purple to show that there's like shadows here. Also, I hope the headphones are sounding okay today. On the live stream last night, the vertical live stream, we were having issues with the headphones. I've been just using like my Sony headphones for the microphone because I just move around so much. I need one of those like lapel mics. So then when I'm moving around, you guys can still hear me. We have like one of those little like streaming mics, but you need to be like pretty much at it the whole time or it doesn't sound very good. Okay, I'm gonna grab this kind of white color. We're adding some highlights in this area. Getting some cat hair in there. Kind of adding texture to the top of these like little white bits. Because I feel like some of them a little bit more texture. See how that texture really adds quite a bit of depth to the mushroom. I feel like once you get kind of those little bits in, all those like little textures, those shapes. And do you have that one stick kind of like sitting on the mushroom here? I don't know if I'll add that. I think I'll add the little bits of dirt that are kind of scattered around though. Okay, we're gonna add texture to those little middle ones here. Go. Just adding a little texture along the edges now. Okay, and we're gonna add some of that like little dirt specks. I'm just gonna use a little bit of this purple, a little bit of this brown that we mixed up too. So we've got okay, let's get more dirt bits here. Okay, that's probably enough little dirt bits on there. I'm gonna add some highlights to the dirt now. So I'm gonna take, I was already using this for highlights, but I'm gonna not use like the super bright white. I'm gonna use this kind of mushroomy color that we've got there. That's gonna help us add just on the edges. Just trying to add color and texture to the dirt. Adding some of that purple back in there. I think I went a little too dark on that one spot. Just making that one dirt area a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, let's see how that's looking. Honestly, pretty good. I think I'm really liking that. I kind of like want to add a little bit. Oops, just dropping my brush over here. Like I kind of want to add texture into the back a little bit more, like just a little bit more texture, honestly, in there. I'm gonna clean off this one brush. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we need to add the texture into the back there a little bit. It's just not going as far back as I want it to go. So I'm just gonna grab this kind of mid-tone desaturated color that we made. Add a few more stems. Just like a little bit. Like I kind of want this part to be blurry, but like just a little bit behind. Just so we get, wasn't sure how far back I wanted to add texture, but I'm thinking the texture will look nice. Okay, there. I'm gonna go into the lighter color now. The one just underneath that mid-tone, just to add those colors in. And once I get the highlights in, it'll look nice and feathery again. Okay, let's add more of that lighter texture now. So I'm going to just clean off the 20/0 liner brush. That'll be helpful for adding those little textures in there. Okay, we're going to go into that lighter green. And this is where we're going to create that feathered texture in those other ones again. Okay, and then we will go still add a bit more of these. Try to be really delicate with the way I add these because we don't want these too thick a line. Okay. And we'll go back in and add those darker areas like we talked about in that first section, how we add some of those darker areas. We still need to add some of that in this like top part too, since we extended the detail up a little bit. Glad we extended the detail up a bit. It felt like it was missing something. That detail. Okay, let's get some of those darker details in now. Go to this color. Just adding a bit of this in before I go in with the really deep kind of purpley dark color. Okay, now I'm going to go in with that purple that we made. Let's see how that kind of just adds a bit more depth to the painting by just adding those little deeper areas. Okay, just keep standing back, seeing what else you might need to add. Kind of blending it out into the top here a little bit. Very roughly blending though. Just adding a little bit more color. Some of those highlights in this area. Just trying to make these darker areas like blend a little bit better. just a few more random textures in there, just so it blends a bit better. There we go. Look at it, it's in a little mossy patch. That's so cute. I realize I gotta add a little bit of a shadow here. Kind of, I'll take a little bit of burnt sienna. I'm gonna add some like little red tones in here. Just to add a little bit more color, add a little bit of the burnt sienna in the actual mushroom too, just in the darker areas. Clean up the edges a little bit with this lighter color. Kind of that time to just touch everything up now. Really get the edges looking a bit more sharp, especially since we're done the background. So I'll come through and I'll just take my liner brush and really kind of blend that in a little bit to the colors we've got going here, just so it's a bit more smooth. Yeah, that helped kind of smooth out the top of the mushroom a bit more. Okay, stand back, look at your mushroom, see if there's any extra little touch-ups. Gotta record like the final stroke. Honestly, like, I'm pretty happy with that. I think we'll step back, look at our little mushroom. How's the color looking for you guys on your end? Let's see. Oh, it's looking pretty good. Not bad. Just looking at it, it looks pretty good. Oh, I'm glad we moved the ferny bits kind of up a little bit and did that. I mean, the manual focus isn't too bad either. Like, I'm pretty happy with that for like the first go at it. Because like if we move it here, that like goes out of focus. But I think is that more in focus? I think that's a little bit more in focus. See, there we go. A little bit more in focus for you guys and you can see it. I think the colors are definitely better on this camera, and like the colors aren't too bad on the palette here. I think it just has better lighting over here. Maybe the colors aren't as bad on the palette. This one I think I'm going to use for the main painting stream from now on because I like that. It looks pretty cool. Okay, well, I guess we will finish up for today. So I've got a little thank you scene. Thanks for hanging out today, guys. It was fun to do this little mushroom. If you want to paint along, like I said, make sure you tag me at Josol Art, either on Facebook or Instagram. I'm also on TikTok and YouTube as well, so you guys can tag me here as well. But yeah, if you try out the little mushroom painting, just use the hashtag mini paint challenge and tag me, and then I can show your art some love. But I'm gonna also post a finished painting photo on my community tab here, so then you guys can see it fully finished as well, so you can scroll back and look. I'll also post it on Instagram and Facebook, so then you can see it, because I know the colors are off sometimes. But yeah, I'm glad with, like, I'm happy with the little mushroom that turned out today. That was so cute. So thanks for hanging out. I will see you next Wednesday for another mini painting, and I hope you all have a good rest of your week. So take care, everyone.